All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're talking about large language models. You know, these incredible AI tools that can write just like a person, but, and this is a big but, they've got a hidden dark side. So we're going to break down both the amazing promise and the very real peril. So just so you know where we're at, this is part 8 of an 11-part deep dive into a big report on generative AI from Virtualization Options LLC. And today, we're zoning in on Chapter 8. This is the part that really gets into the nitty-gritty of what makes LLMs so great for writing and also what makes them kind of dangerous. Okay, so here's what's on the docket. First, we'll look at how these models are just completely shaking up the world of writing. Then, we're going to tackle the big, scary problem of hallucinations. After that, we'll get real about the practical price tag. Yep, there are hidden costs. And finally, we'll talk about the path forward, how we can actually build safer AI. So first up, this revolution in writing. Look, before we can even talk about the risks, you've got to appreciate the sheer power we're dealing with here. It's not just that these things can write, it's how they write that's a total game changer. And this quote right here, it just nails it. We're not talking about just stringing words together in a clunky way. These things generate text that's fluent. It understands the context, and it stays on topic over long stretches. And it can switch up its tone and style on a dime. It's remarkably human-like. Okay, so check this out. It's how these 4 superpowers combine that's just, wow. You get this crazy good fluency that sounds totally natural. Then there's the adaptability. It can whip up a technical manual 1 second and a poem the next. It's a master of dozens of languages, and it spits out drafts in seconds. I mean, we're talking about a toolkit that completely changes the speed of creation itself. But you knew there was a but, right? This incredible power comes with a really serious catch. And now we get to that other, much sharper edge of the sword, the hallucination problem. This is where all that brilliance is actually built on some pretty shaky foundations. And that brings us to the central challenge, right? What happens when a tool that sounds so incredibly authoritative is just confidently completely wrong? I mean, these models are designed to be persuasive. That fluency doesn't just switch off when the facts are wrong. And that's what makes them so dangerously convincing. So let's be super clear about what we mean by hallucination. This is not a simple typo or a little mistake. No. This is the AI literally inventing facts out of thin air. We're talking fabricating historical events or making up quotes or even citing academic papers and legal cases that are completely fake. They just don't exist. And this table here really shows that the problem is way bigger than just hallucinations. I mean, an LLM might give you a perfect answer, and then you slightly rephrase your question, and boom, you get a wildly different, totally wrong answer. It can even contradict itself in the same chat. What this tells you is that it's not really understanding the way we do. It's just running an incredibly advanced pattern matching game. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the practical price tag. Because beyond the wonky output, there are some very real hidden costs and risks that affect every single one of us who uses these things. First off, the sheer computational and environmental cost is, well, it's staggering. To train just one of these models, GPT-3, took enough electricity to power about 130 US homes for a whole year. Think about that. That is an insane amount of energy. And it's a hidden price tag. We're all paying for this tech. And for you, the user, it's not just a simple transaction. You have to ask some serious questions like, what happens to the private data you put in your prompts? Who actually owns the stuff the AI creates? What about the hidden biases from the training data that get baked into the answers? And maybe the biggest one, are we getting too reliant on this? And in the process, are we forgetting how to think and write for ourselves? These are all absolutely critical things to consider. Okay, so with all these pretty serious problems, what's the solution? How do we build a safer AI? Well, the good news is we're not just stuck. Researchers are on it, and they're actively working on ways to make these incredibly powerful tools a lot more reliable and trustworthy. The goal here isn't to just throw the AI out. Not at all. It's about building guardrails. The whole idea is to turn it from this brilliant but, totally unreliable genius into a safer, more dependable partner we can actually work with. Now, one of the most promising techniques out there is called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG for short. It's a really clever idea. Instead of just letting the model pull an answer out of its own massive, kind of messy memory, RAG forces it to do something first. It has to go and retrieve relevant documents from a trusted source, a knowledge base of facts. Then it has to generate its answer based only on those sources. It's basically like giving the AI an open book test where it has to show its work. But RAG is just one piece of the puzzle, right? It's at its most powerful when you combine it with other stuff. Things like reinforcement learning with human feedback, which is basically having people teach the AI what a good answer actually looks like, or fine-tuning it on really specific, high-quality data. And probably the most important thing of all, always keeping a human in the loop to do the final fact-checking.
So at the end of the day, that's what we're left with. LLMs are an incredibly powerful new tool, but the real question is, are we becoming wise enough to wield them? They're a double-edged sword, for sure. On one side, you have this mind-blowing potential for creativity and productivity. On the other, very real risks of misinformation and misuse. The tech is moving at a breakneck pace, and that leaves us with the really tough challenge. Can we develop the wisdom to use it responsibly?